Indian foreign and defense ministers met with their Japanese counterparts for the second India-Japan 2+2 Ministerial Dialogue. External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar and Defense Minister Rajnath Singh met Japan's Minister for Foreign Affairs Yoshimasa Hayashi and Defense Minister Yasukazu Hamada. Both countries face Chinese threats in the Indo-Pacific region on key trade routes in Asia. After World War II, Japan adopted a pacifist constitution drafted for it by the victorious Americans. Facing immense threats from China and North Korea, Tokyo is modifying its view. By raising its defense budget from 1% to 3% of its GDP, Tokyo will soon be the third largest defense spender after the United States and China. India views that sovereignty and territorial integrity would have to be respected, and connectivity initiatives should be transparent, viable, and market-based. These are severe shortcomings in the Chinese Belt and Road Initiative and the China-Pakistan Economic Corridor. Beijing is cagey about New Delhi's burgeoning relationship with the USA and the West, even though it has appreciated India's multi-alignment strategy. New Delhi has consistently resisted moves by the West to make Russia and China pariahs and Chinese attempts to make the West look like colonial powers.
On 8 September, the central government announced the prohibition of the export of broken rice.
This decision has been taken as the country has to serve its own people first before serving others.
Opposition parties quickly opposed this decision and called it a farmer-unfriendly policy. Between April to August 2022, the export of broken rice grew by 4,178%, causing a run-up in prices from 16 rupees a kilogram to 22 rupees a kilogram. The broken rice export from 2018 to 2022 has grown by 319%. While this export brings in valuable foreign exchange and revenue to farmers, the sudden spike in exports this year has caused sharp inflation for this vital staple.
On September 7, the left-leaning Washington Post talked to Ukrainian soldiers with severed limbs, shrapnel wounds, mangled hands and shattered joints in a frontline hospital. The soldiers lamented the lopsided disadvantages. They said the Russians have a better and more extensive artillery arsenal, drones that could fly with impunity a kilometer high, and counter-battery radars that can call fire on Ukrainians' heads within minutes. Apparently, the Russians can hijack Ukrainian drones, detect enemy soldiers based on phone and radio usage, fire 20 rounds of artillery for 3 from the Ukrainians, and kill 5 enemy soldiers for 1 of their own. While Kyiv hopes to boost its citizens' morale and convince the West of its prowess, the paper could not confirm their claims on gains of villages they say have been reclaimed. As of September 11, Ukraine forces have reclaimed much of their losses around Kharkiv even as their Kherson offensive remained stalled.
The United States' premier state, California, warned of rolling blackouts to control surging demand to power air conditioners to manage unprecedented heat levels. The California Independent System Operator, or ISO, is the power grid operator in the state.
If needed, ISO could order utilities to begin rotating power outages to maintain stability of the electric grid, so it doesn't collapse into uncontrolled unplanned power failures.
The state government has started generating more power to protect the power grid.
Californians have stepped up in a big way during this record heat wave, but with the hottest temperatures here now, the risk of outages is real. We all have to double down on conserving energy to reduce the unprecedented strain on the grid. We need everyone, individuals, businesses, the state, and energy producers, to do their part in the coming days and help California continue to meet this challenge.
Former U.S. intelligence officials revealed the Islamic State's new plan to exploit technology so they can evade detection, raise funds, and garner supporters for its cause. Speaking to the Wall Street Journal, the analyst said that the terrorist group released a non-fungible token emblazoned with their logo and carried a brief description of an attack on a Taliban position. Through this proof of concept, they wanted to test the use and effectiveness of the blockchain-based model. An individual artist sympathizer uploaded 3 such models, including one titled IS News Number 01. The jihadists may be expanding their expertise into emerging financial technologies to circumvent online platforms' blocking algorithms. Critics of the NFT marketplaces on the dark web say that emerging decentralized financial technology artworks could help many undesirable elements, such as terrorists, arms and drug dealers, and corrupt governments, because of the supposed anonymity and privacy of the blockchain.
Turkish security forces claim to have captured Islamic State terrorist Bashar Hattab Ghazal al-Sumaidai, codenamed Master Zaid or Abu Zaid. A Turkish joint task force caught the disguised Zaid trying to use a fake ID. Returning from a trip to the Balkans, President Recep Tayyip Erdogan described Zaid as one of the principal actors in the organization. Zaid joined the terror group as a ground worker in 2013 but rose rapidly in its ranks to head its entire judiciary.
Ankara stated that a Greek Coast Guard interceptor fired on a Turkish cargo ship, causing minor damage. When the cargo ship Anatolian reported this incident, Turkey deployed 2 Coast Guard vessels to escort it to safe waters, but the Greek vessel had left by then. Greek sources said the Anatolian was moving suspiciously into its waters and refused to engage or even stop.
After 16 rounds of commander-level talks, India and China agreed to disengage from patrolling Point 15 in the Chang Chenmo River valley near Gogra Hot Springs, on the Ladakh border in the Himalaya. The line of actual control, or LAC, friction started when Beijing amassed tens of thousands of troops on the border in 2020. Beijing called its military buildup an exercise, and New Delhi mirrored their deployment. This area is critical to Beijing for controlling 2 of their illegally occupied territories, Tibet and Xinjiang. Intense hand-to-hand combat in June 2020 resulted in the death of 20 Indian soldiers and up to 45 Chinese soldiers. Indian government sources cited in the media said several friction points exist, especially at Demchok and Depsang. There is speculation that Chinese Premier Xi Jinping wants to have a conversation with Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi at the Shanghai Cooperation Organization meeting at Samarkand in Uzbekistan later this month. Beijing has been trying to reset their relationship with New Delhi, but India has insisted that relationship normalization is possible only with the unconditional withdrawal of Chinese troops from its borders. India will be the chair of the SCO this year. The 2 leaders have not met since 2019, and it is unclear if Modi will even greet Jinping during this meet.
Indian External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar called on Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman and handed over a personal letter from the Indian Prime Minister, Narendra Modi. Bilateral relations between the 2 countries have broadened in scope over the last few years. Saudi Arabia fulfills 18% of India's oil needs, and 2.2 million Indians work in the West Asian kingdom. Bilateral trade in the last fiscal year clocked at $29.28 billion, with India's exports accounting for only $6.63 billion.
The Indian High Commission in Beijing issued an advisory to Indian students pursuing medical studies in China, but cannot rejoin their course because of COVID-19 restrictions in that country. The advisory pointed to a study that seemed to discourage Indian students from returning to China or pursuing education there.
The study shows that only 6,387 out of 40,417 students who appeared in FMG examination from 2015 to 2021 have cleared it. Here, the pass percentage of Indian students who have studied clinical medicine program in China in that period in these 45 universities was only 16%.
The External Affairs Minister had met with his Chinese counterpart Wang Yi to stress the importance of facilitating the return of Indian students. While Chinese authorities say that they are making every effort for the expeditious return of the students, there is very little progress on the issue.
With Western countries wanting to cap energy prices from Russia and Moscow threatening to stop all energy supplies to Europe, a mad rush has erupted worldwide for energy. Meanwhile, to hold international prices at high levels, the Organization of Petroleum Exporting Countries, or OPEC, announced plans to reduce crude oil production. Unnamed sources in the Indian government said they would diversify its suppliers to include Guyana, Canada, Gabon, Brazil, and Colombia. New Delhi already imports oil from Brazil, Colombia, and Gabon, but the quantum is insignificant. India indicated its interest in sourcing crude oil from Brazil under long-term special contracts when Brazilian Minister of Mines and Energy, Bento Albuquerque's visit to India in April 2022.
Two recent reports estimated that China has 50 to 100 million unoccupied or unfinished homes valued between $270 and $300 billion. Chinese think tank Baker Research Institute and London-based research and consultancy firm Capital Economics say that real estate companies promote projects with a Ponzi scheme where builders take money from future customers to start new ventures. Beijing has punished these companies by forcing them to destroy unfinished homes. With Beijing's zero-COVID policy, the Chinese economy has contracted more than the country would admit, causing a massive loss of earning potential. Home buyers have stopped paying mortgages on unfinished homes, and this trend is gaining momentum. Many economists expect another round of real estate companies' collapses. Bloomberg estimates several bank defaults valued at $335 billion.
If you like this content, please press the like button and share it with your family and friends. Please consider subscribing to this channel. It is free. Press the bell icon to receive notifications about new content.